see, this is the thing. Players are competitive no
no
matter what it is.
What.
No matter what it is. So the moment that they find out, like, they've been on a team, like, so we do an all fits, first team, second team, third team, similar how, like, they'll do all pro first.
Sure.
So guys will make the third team and they'll be
follow
like,
you?
they'll be like, man, don't ever post me again. And if you look at it, the third team is still the top 25 in the league of best dressed.
Yo,
you know,
wild.
So, yeah.
Don't ever post me again. You're like, I can post you if I want to, sir.
Me and that player reconcile. You know, we good now.
Shut up. He was really mad at you. As we approach the crown jewel of football, which is the Super Bowl, folks, we thought we'd bring some attention to some of the players who made us notice them when they were off the field.
I'm Moses Anoh. I'm just a guy from the DMV area, Maryland. I love God. I love sports, and I'm starting to love style and fashion a little bit more, which I think we're going to talk about. But I'm from Ivory Coast, from Rwanda, but born in Maryland. So I'm a first generation kid here in the United States. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Moses is the founder of Blitz Fits. Blitz Fits is a media brand at the intersection of football, fashion, and lifestyle. Through content offerings such as tunnel fits, closet tours, shopping trips, this digital magazine has over 50 million views and 150,000 followers across its social platforms. The brand has been featured and partnered with notable athletes like Stephon Diggs, Travis Kelce, Chase Young, and Tyrod Taylor. Blitz Fits has also collaborated with different NFL teams like the Giants, the Ravens, and Vikings, all in the effort to showcase the player's style. I love this idea that we're just going to talk about we love God first. We always got to put God first, right?
Yeah,
Amen.
Definitely.
I like that.
Definitely.
Interesting, as I'm reading about you, Moses, so you were at the PA. What did you do?
Yep. So, I was at the NFL Players Association for the past 6 years working on player marketing. So, backtracking a little bit, I went to Stevens University, played football there, and when I got done playing, I kind of hit the road that a lot of guys hit, not knowing exactly what you want to do, but I knew I wanted to stay in sports. I got a undergrad in business administration, and then from there went to Georgetown, got my master's in sports management, and then focused on sports marketing and player marketing at NFL Players Association. So helping guys, make money off the field through endorsements, activation, player appearances, things of that nature. So yeah, I loved it.
Why is marketing so popular? I feel like back in the day, like for eons ago, before any of you were born, there was this movie. Have you guys ever heard of it called Boomerang with Eddie Murphy?
Yep.
And Eddie Murphy was in advertising. And I remember everybody wanted to be in advertising at one point. Marketing is it. And I don't know, there's so many different aspects of it, but the creative genius of this generation is so special to me. But marketing is very, very popular. For you, why was it popular? Did you know what marketing was before that wasn't even an option for me as a career?
Yeah, no, it's funny because when I thought about sports and working in sports, the thing that I thought about was just being an agent, like everybody. That's the first thing that
you want to babysit a bunch of spoiled people.
Well, that's what I thought at first. This was a couple years ago when marketing wasn't as big, but when I got into the world of sports and sports marketing, I realized that it's really the perfect merge of business and sports. Like marketing touches every aspect of life, and just doing that through sports, it was something that I loved. I loved being able to help players tell their stories, market themselves. And then also I love when a good marketing campaign comes into play, when you got a player that fits the brand and that could tell the story for the brand. It's hard, but once you find that, that's something I really love. So really storytelling and branding.
Who is a perfect idea in terms of a perfect candidate that would be great for marketing? When I think of in the league, I go NFL, and I think if I wanted to market a player, he's a walking story. It would be like Odell Beckham Jr.
Yep, exactly.
I would think of Travis Kelce before, but his style now is he's back. He looks like an officer now, but before then he used to have. He still. I'm sure people still think he has it. Yeah. Or in the NBA, Shy. He's so fly. He's so fly is crazy, and it's easy and effortless. So those people to me tell stories. Mm-hmm. So marketing for an NFL player is that person can tell a story with the way they dress and how they talk and who they are. I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean it's you gotta look at the whole person. I think when people think about themselves, they don't only just think about their job. If you're talking about the average person, right? So why do we do it for sports or athletics? So I think it's guys are really starting to embrace that now, whether it be through fashion, whether it be through what they do in the off season, whether it be through music. There's a lot of guys doing their own music thing. So I think being able to get guys to realize that, football is just what you do. It's not who you are. Who are you outside of that? That allows them to see the potential of what they can market. Obviously, you gotta keep the main thing and do well on the field, right? Because that opens up the opportunities. But being able to know who you are outside of it too, opens up things not only for you personally, but from a business standpoint too.
But sometimes people don't know that. They have to find that. Someone builds that. Like there was a time, I love me some Rihanna, but Rihanna at the beginning is not Rihanna now. She even got the tattoos and she got the haircut and she got the jewelry. She created her look.
Exactly, yeah.
So how do you do that as a marketer?
I mean, it comes down to identity. I think it's funny because on my way up here, I was looking at, I think it was on Twitter or LinkedIn, it said marketing is being able to, is like inviting somebody on a date, but branding is keeping them there, right? So you got to be able to market yourself and brand yourself. So one, you got to know who you are. You got to be able to identify who you are. And I think one thing that hurts a lot of guys just outside of football too, or in general, is identifying yourself with just that one thing. Like, I'm just a football player, right? You limit yourself. And that's something that, I went through even on a lower scale in the collegiate aspect of things. So I think once you really start to get out of that mindset that, I'm just a football player, I'm just a basketball player, you start to open up to, okay, what do I like? And start to explore. Some things you might fail at, some things you might not hit, but then once you find your stride or your niche, I should say.
Yeah, what fits.
Yeah, once you find what fits, that's what happens, I guess that's a double entendre.
Yeah, I was like, well, since we're here, since we are here, Blitz Fits. What is Blitz Fits? How'd that concept come about for you?
Yeah. So Blitz Fits, from a high level, it's really just like a football, fashion, and lifestyle media platform. How it started was really like, I was still working at the PA and, I really started to see like basketball had their own, outlets to show their fashion expression.
Runway.
Soccer did, and football didn't really have the narrative of guys can dress. Obviously, back then there was some guys that was really stepping, like Jamal Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, Odell, but it wasn't really highlighted or shown.
DeAndre used to be the flyest.
Yeah. Yes. DeAndre would be at, he'd be on the runways back then. He was like one of the OGs to really start that, along with guys like Odell. But I saw it as an opportunity to really make a brand that's for the players to show themselves in that aspect. So what it's grown to over the years has become, fashion obviously, but also a lifestyle media platform where we're really trying to tell the stories of guys through the avenue of fashion, but also other things like what do they do on their off days? How do they get prepped for the game? Closet tours, things like that. But
a closet tour. Okay, wait. So when you say how do they prep for their off days, are they prepping for work or are they prepping for what they're going to wear?
It could be any. It could be some guys do take their off days to prep what they're wearing. Some guys do that before the season. Some guys really just take their off day to rest and relax, play video games. So it's really just like depends on who you ask and what they do. You'll get a different answer.
You know what I love? And I can think of just a bunch of players, football players specifically, but they spend all this money on all these outfits and they're so damn ugly. They just be so damn ugly. Like, this is $20,000. I got this drip when I was in Paris. I was like, you'll never wear that again. Yeah. And then you hear the stories of years later, they're like, what a waste of money. Why did I buy that? Why did I buy that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's because it's another thing I learned coming into it is there's a difference between fashion and style. You know what I'm saying? Fashion is more so the things that you see on the mannequins, like the high-end things, like the name brands, all that, which nothing's bad with that. But if you don't have a style of your own, you kind of just gravitate to whatever, is out or hot at the moment. Right. So style is something that's timeless and something that, it's going to be within you no matter what.
It's
fashion,
like what you feel like.
Yeah.
It's, when I get dressed, and I think I have style, but everybody can say different. But when I get dressed, it's like, do I feel comfortable in this? Does this represent me? Do I feel like I would say, my style would be, I like to be comfortable, first of all. I like to be tall, so I'm always going to wear some heels. And I like to feel sexy and empowered. So it might be I'm going to show off my legs, or I'm going to have on, I'm going to show you I work out. Like, you're not going to not know I work out. Like, that's my style because that empowers me. I feel strong physically and mentally. And I look at people like Odell, you could tell he just has it. He puts it all together, and it just, like, no one can wear that. Like, I can't put that together. I'd look silly if I have that on.
Exactly.
That to me is the essence of style. And I just recently, I want to go into the people that you have talked about on Blitz Fits, one of which is Angel Reese, Baltimore's very own, right? And she was on the cover of Vogue, which is such a huge iconic thing. And her and they shared double, Gabby Thomas, they shared the cover. But in terms of American Vogue and being the first athlete, basketball player more specifically, first basketball player, male or female, to cover Vogue is huge.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Huge.
It's crazy.
And in my mind, I know that she gets a lot of heat for how she dresses, saying she doesn't have style. But they put her on Vogue. Does that mean that she has style because they put her on Vogue, in your opinion?
I mean, it's subjective, obviously. At the end of the day, fashion, to an extent, is subjective. But I do think that, obviously, I think Angel can dress. I mean, I'm a little biased. She's from Maryland. I think, Maryland and DMV, we have our way of fashion.
Stop it.
That is, it's just different from the rest of the world,
What is Maryland's way of dressing? What is the
it depends.
style?
She's from Baltimore, so theirs is a little bit different than what you would get in a PG County. You know what I'm saying? Or like a
what
DC.
Are the differences?
DC, you got a lot of, I think some of our staples are New Balance, Nike Boost, the North Face. But it's really like, I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of like we dress well, but effortlessly at the same time. You're not going to see a lot of name brands, but you're going to be like, okay, that's a good fit. Let me preface by saying I wouldn't call myself like the fashion guru. Like if you see me out, I like to keep it simple, white tees.
That's your style.
Yeah. Out of my friend group, I'll say there's a couple other guys that are more stylish than me and like, really dig into the fashion sense. But I think Maryland's just, it's funny. We talk about other states and how they dress. I'm not going to say what we say, but it's just different.
Why?
It's different from what you get in
Why won't you
Maryland.
say?
I mean, it's subjective. You know what I'm saying? Somebody might not agree with our opinion that Maryland is one of the best states for,
We're gonna have to take that to the gram. We have to see what they say.
Yeah,
Or is it a survey?
Yeah, but you got to put a DMV because, depending on who you ask and where they're from.
So I have to say DMV very specifically.
Yeah,
okay,
you got to say DMV.
Apparently, you got to say DMV. So when we come back, we talk about other players in the league that represent, but what about their city? Is it true that where you live determines how you dress? We'll find out when Naked Sports returns. I do believe there are, like in Detroit, when I think of Detroit, I'm like, where's your chinchilla, where your fur, where the gators, and they will kill, like, or what they call buffs. Like it's very, you have to be from Detroit to call the Cartier glasses buffs. It's very important. And to me, that reminds me of just like an old school pimp. I see that. That is old school pimp. Like all that whole, but people are like, no, I'm fly in Detroit. You cannot tell nobody from Detroit they are not fly.
Exactly.
And so when you say subjective, is it just truly how you grew up and what you think is fashion?
Yeah, I mean, you can.
Is there a universal fly? Is there some place where you're like universally this place is where the fashion is?
Yeah, I think universally there's obviously places like here in New York, LA, those big cities, even over in Asia, they have their fashion capitals as well.
I agree.
So I think there is obviously like a universal fly, like a universal look that a lot of people can say, I probably might not wear that, but that looks good. They can dress. Even there's some players that probably say the same thing, but at the end of the day, it's subjective because same thing with Blitzfits, right? I might post a player, right? I think the fit is fly, and then somebody comment is like, "Oh yeah, that's crazy. I would never wear that. You just got too much money." Where it's subjective. Yeah. I look at some of the pages and I'm like, I can see why you wouldn't wear that based on how you dress, but to each their own.
New York to me is the fashion capital. Like I'm from LA, born and raised, and I've lived there most of my life. But living here, the way I see fashion, I've upped my game in so many different ways. In LA, you can't wear a coat. There's no such thing as wearing a coat. New York, you're gonna have 5, 6 fly coats. You're gonna be layered. Yep. If you could really just layer and layer and layer, it just adds so much more texture to how you dress. So I do think New York to me would be clearly one of the fashion capitals, or Paris. That's effortless. I've been there. They are effortless. They'll throw on a scarf and just some raggedy jeans, and you're like, "That's great. What's that?" You know what I mean?
Europe in general.
Europe in general, and it's clean. It's like a very minimalistic, clean style.
Even if they're wearing brands, you won't know.
You won't know.
Like it's
like you don't know nothing about this. This is for the okay, kids. You don't know nothing about this. I love that. I want to know with Blitz Fits, where you're trying to tell a story, because you are marketing each player by talking about them, and you have some players that are continuously on Blitz Fits. Can you tell me repeat customers that people truly enjoy?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you got guys like Stephon Diggs, Odell Beckham, Tyrod Taylor, some sleeper guys, which I don't think they're sleepers anymore, like Saran Neal from the Miami Dolphins. Another name that's coming up right now is Duke Riley from the Dolphins as well. So there's a lot of guys that, are really steppers. Devon Gottschalk from the Patriots. Laramie Tunsil from the Texans.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Laramie
and that's
Tunsil, and good for him, right?
Yeah.
Because he has such a horrible start, and we weren't even thinking about him for what he dressed about, and he's turned the whole thing around.
Yep,
okay,
and he's doing his thing on the field too.
Yeah, good for him. All right. Okay, so I have a question then.
Yeah.
The idea of an NFL player, I think fashion is, to me, the only way they can set themselves apart. Yes, you can be great on the field. And if you're not one of these excellent players that we are highlighting, especially people in these ungrateful positions, like some of these positions, you're like, what do you do? Kicker, what do you do? Very few, the positions that you don't get the glory for. But you can't see them because they have on a helmet and their identity is really, truly concealed. And so a lot of them do different things. I think that was genius of Odell to dye his hair. That was just who he was, but he stood out right away.
Yeah.
There are ways in which you can identify. I think he was great too. But there are ways in which you can identify people. So with the way they dress is their introduction. They're marketing themselves. Is that something that's very important? That's become just as important as learning your plays, do you think?
I think it's as important as you make it. Obviously there's not every guy in the league. It's a small percentage of guys that really care to dress. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Obviously there's some positions
or they think they can dress and they can't. Yes, you're not going to say that, but I'm going to say that.
Yeah, I leave that to the comments. But I think it's as important as you make it. If that's something that you really invest in and really, love and want to show yourself and express yourself in that moment, I think is that important. There's guys that, I don't want to say they dedicate their offseason to it because, like I said, you keep the main thing, but they do take time to, think about what they're wearing for each game. You get 17 games for the season.
Yeah.
Why not take some time to think about?
Coaches do it.
Exactly.
Exactly. And now that they're paying attention to WNBA, God bless those ladies. They trying their best. So the reality is that it doesn't mean it takes away from the main thing, but it is truly a way to introduce yourself and tell your story. And also, I don't care what anybody says. I need storylines and I need characters. And so if my character is dressed, I'm paying attention, good or bad.
You're right.
I'm talking about it. So I truly believe that it is so integral in who you are. It identifies you.
It is.
It's like listening to the music you like.
Yeah, I think of Jeremiah Owusu from the Browns.
I was thinking about my boyfriend. Yeah. Not my boyfriend, but he is so damn fine. Yeah. I was just thinking about my boyfriend because he be clean and representing his culture.
Exactly.
Day in and day out. Okay, so for me, he to me is everything. So you know what he's about. You know what man he is. Yeah. You know how he feels about his heritage and his culture based on the way he dresses.
Exactly.
And that's why I feel like it's just as important.
Yeah.
How would you describe him?
I think one, like you said, you know what he's about. You know that he cares for his culture. He cares for, where he comes from and what that has instilled in him. And he showed that, especially last year. Unfortunately, this year he got hurt. But I think he was going to continue to do the same thing. But last year, being able to put together, cultural fits, traditional wear for each game and tell a story with that in his own Instagram, I thought that was something that, like,
and he's from Ghana, right?
Yeah, yep. We've never seen that before.
We've never seen that before in that way. And then when he would post everything that he was wearing, he told a story with it. Yeah. Each slide was a story. It was like, let me tell you about my cultural heritage. Let me tell you about my ancestors. Let me tell you where I'm coming from and where I'm going. This is why I feel like it's so important. We can dismiss it as, oh, it's just what they're wearing. But if you do it with such intention, it is so special.
Yeah. I mean, there's a quote that, it's funny, Tyrod, I think this is a quote that he lives by, is how you do one thing is how you do everything.
That's right.
So I think about it when you go to the, I don't want to say common person, but, the average person that's going to work, you don't not think about what you're wearing when you're going to work. Like, you don't not put effort into what you're going to wear into the office just because you might have.
There are people who don't put effort into what they wear.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. But one doesn't dictate what happens in the other, right? Just depending on what you're wearing. I should say, like, I'm trying to get to the point of, like, a lot of people say football players just need to worry about
what's on the
game.
Field.
You know what I'm saying? But what's to say if I'm taking time to put stuff in effort here and I'm still doing what I need to here, what does it matter? Even if it's an off day, it has nothing to do with the outfit.
Yeah.
But all in all, to say, I think how you do one thing is how you do everything. So with him per se, I think culturally, and he going into the story about how he got the pieces, going back to the homeland and doing all that. Like, that's one of the things that I don't think a lot of people really realize how much effort goes into it. Like, you can't get that right down the street.
So Moses has made it clear with Blitz Fits, it's important not only to him to show representation, but fashion for professional athletes is truly their time to shine and show their personality, their heritage, and as mentioned, talk about their culture. Let's do a cultural detour or just take a stop here, because I've been to Ghana 2-3 times. And when I go, and when I have been, and I plan to visit so many parts of Africa, I have to go to the homeland. But when you go, two things. First thing is you feel like welcome home. Like, that's the first thing you feel like. You feel like when you step, for me, and you go there, you don't go there just look around. You go there to learn. You want to know about the culture, the history. If you believe in your DNA ancestry, you look up, what your percentage is. Mine is Nigerian and from Ghana. And so I'm looking around and I want to know the stories, and I visit I went to the castles where they stole us and brought us here. It's a very beautiful, cultural, humbling experience, and you learn so much about where we come from. That's why I'm really a fan of his, because I think it is important and it does make people curious to learn about who you are. But the other thing is, in Africa, they be dressed.
Yeah.
They don't play.
Yeah.
I went to a New Year's Eve outfit. I went to a New Year's Eve party, my very first time, 2018. And I was like, I don't have anything to wear. And they like, let's go buy some fabric. So
you gotta go make it. Yep.
I was so fucking clean.
Yeah.
I was like, is this for me? I felt like such a queen. Yeah. Like, I had the head wrap, I had the long, I was so regal. Yep. And I was like, this is me. This is my culture. This is who I am. Right. I'm a queen.
Yeah.
And I understand why it's important for Black people to dress. There is something to that heritage of who we are and where we come from. And this is crazy controversial, not really. But do you feel like the first generation players in the league dress better than the American players?
I wouldn't say that. I think in each category there's guys that are really, really dressing. I think you could go toe to toe with
you could
both,
pick,
right?
Of course, yeah. There's
some guys that dress in each category that dress well. Some guys that don't necessarily care to dress as much. So. Yeah.
It just depends.
That's a good, we should look into it.
There's something there. I don't know what it is because I'm not in charge of Blitz Fits, but I'm saying there's something there.
Yeah, and it's also different. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to take, Jeremiah, what he's wearing, and put that up against a Stephon Diggs.
Well, it's not so much comparing the two. It is the understanding of why.
Yeah, I got you.
I got to be the cleanest man on the field. It's like, because I'm a king.
Yeah.
And I got to represent as a king.
Yeah, traditional wear has a lot of meaning to it and a lot of history to how, a lot of this has even come about. So, I think it's just, is it more sentimental? I think it has a little bit more,
there's a
cultural and story behind it. Yeah.
Yeah, but we like to dress, period. Blacks,
it's going to cost too.
We like to be clean. I'm going to be cute. I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I interrupted. Now,
you're good.
You are from, I digress. You are from first generation Rwanda. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so I'm half Rwandan, half Ivory Coast. My dad's from Ivory Coast. My mom's from Rwanda. So I kind of have the best of both worlds, East and West Africa. A lot of people, when I meet them, they say, like, I've never heard that mix before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not often, or it's rare that you'll probably find that. So it's cool. Like, I had a chance to go back to Rwanda in 2019 and visit family and, see life there, and I just love it. Rwanda's one of the best countries, in my opinion, in Africa. Obviously, you can see a lot of the economic work they're doing there, the different things that they're bringing there. Like, they brought the NBA Africa Cup over there. So it's just a great place I think everybody should visit Rwanda at some point.
I think that's so special. Yeah. I think what they did with Ghana, they should do for every one of these countries so that people understand. Because if we were left to our American knowledge, we're looking at movies and we think it's war-torn and it doesn't have, and while that may still exist, there needs to be the celebration of the beauty of the country.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will be surprised on, how far, advanced Africa is and the enjoyment that you'll have there.
Which is so sad that we don't know that.
I think we've come a long way from how we see it now. To the point where I think December everybody's going back to
I feel like
Ghana
everybody's open.
Nigeria.
But we're open. We're like, where are we going? I'm gonna take a visit.
Exactly.
I think everyone is. And Nigeria's become the other hotspot too. Like everybody.
Yep. Yeah. My wife is Nigerian, so we have to go there at some point too.
Olubusabo. Basayo. I get it wrong all the time. She's so mad at me.
It takes a lot of training.
She's from Nigeria.
Yeah.
Remember, I have to have these questions. I'm a full American. I have to stop down and ask these questions.
I knew she was Nigerian from
How'd you know?
Her name. Yeah, there's names that you already know. Yeah, even my name, Moses Anoh, my last name is technically, you can find like some Ghanaian heritage there. Yeah. Because my dad, where he's from, is the border of Ivory Coast and Ghana. So there's a little bit of mixture there. Yeah.
Whenever I meet someone like Sergi Baca, he was like, "Are you from the Congo?" I'm like, "No." "Are you from the Congo?" He's like, "Yes." And I was like, "Well, how do I look like it?" I don't know. They always say or some. Yeah. He's like but there's identities where you can actually tell.
Yep. Yeah, bone structure, height. Yeah, you could definitely tell. Even like East and West African.
You can.
Yeah, you could tell.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I could have this conversation all day. I'm gonna go back to clothing.
Oh, good.
Okay. So Jeremy, who else? Who else was on the list?
Laramie, Tyrod, Grant Delpit from the Browns as well.
Okay. I don't know him. I got to look it up.
There's a lot of guys.
Tyrod Taylor always is clean. He is always clean. If you had to say, do you have to be neutral? Who's your favorite? Favorite dressed NFL player?
To me personally,
top five. I won't put you in that pusher.
Top five is actually harder.
Oh, really? Okay, good. Give me one.
For me, going off of what I would wear, like what I like in style, I like Tyrod. I like Tyrod because you'll see one. I think one thing I've learned with sport or like just fashion in general is silhouettes are everything. Like how stuff fits you, and I think Tyrod just does a great job of putting pieces together that fit well. And Tyrod he has a stylist which they collaborate on. But I think Tyrod in himself, he's still a stylish person. You know what I'm saying? So we did a closet tour with him last year around this time and had a chance to go down to his crib and see him. And he really lives this life of just like, fashion. Like you'll come to his thing. Yeah. If he's chilling, he still has a fit on. Yeah. that's just who he is. I've heard players say
his athleisure is sexy. Yeah. You're like, he out here.
I ain't gonna say all that.
I'm gonna say that. He's like, pause. No. Okay, yes, but I like it.
I do also Stephon Diggs, obviously he's from Maryland as well and close to where I'm from. So I think him
he's dressed. Yeah,
they have a good, but I also I gotta show love to the big guys, Laramie and Devon Godchak. Those are some of the guys I really, really like because it's hard to find stuff that fits you as a big guy.
Well, you're a big dude. Yeah.
Me, myself, I'm not as big as them, but I played defensive end in college and I got to get everything tailored, pants, shirts, suits, everything. So that's another reason why I thought a Blitz Fits is because it's easy to dress, if you have the physique of a, basketball player or soccer player, but you got to put a little bit more effort in if you're a big guy, if you're an O lineman, D lineman, you got broader shoulders. It's something that you got to just put a little bit more effort in just because of your physique.
Yeah, I'm thinking, and then by big too, I'm thinking of like big boys, not just like physically tall, but also size. Like who else is dressed like that? Like big boy.
I mean, a sleeper is Morgan Moses.
Who's played for?
He plays for the Jets, so he's one there.
I love that we call those sleeper. See, Morgan.
Well, because you don't highlight. Not don't you get as per se.
They just don't. It's not a glorious position. It's not like we talking about the center. What do you got on? You know what I mean? Right. No one cares.
Yeah. You got Cody Ford from the Bengals. Okay. He's one that dresses pretty well.
Then we have these players that are like the face of the league. Very few give me, back when he played, Tom Brady was always clean, but that was because his wife was dressing him, I'm sure.
Yeah. He has more of that European.
He has that European style. Somebody was like, look at the whole brand. Like he was packaged. You could tell. Like it was like Ken doll. You know what I mean? Putting all the things together. But I think of these players like a Patrick Mahomes. I'm never looking at him and thinking, what's this we're wearing? But you like his style?
I think Pat has his suits on lock. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting.
Yeah, he's a suit guy through and through. I mean, I think home games he'll throw on more of like the
cash,
like the Louis jacket and stuff like that. But
his suits are
I
good.
think his suit game is like
school me because I would be like, I don't know, I'm not for sure. Yeah, I mean, is anybody doing a Tom Brady look though? That clean, like the face of the league and still put together like that? Because I have a comparison for the NBA.
I mean, I would say if you're thinking face of the league, you have Pat, you have Travis Kelce, you have
and you like
Justin Jefferson.
You like Justin's cool.
Justin Jefferson.
You like the way Travis Kelce dresses.
I do. I think Travis has definitely evolved throughout the years. You know, I think he's a guy that goes through eras. Like he's gone through a lot. If you look at his evolution of his style, it's changed a lot. So I think Travis is definitely one that can dress. Yeah.
Do you look at the league of yesteryear, like the league of the 80s and the 90s and early 2000s and how they used to dress compared to what they do now? Because to me, it's night and day.
Because I mean, they had more restrictions back then.
And their suits were just very basic, and so now there's more of a freedom to show who you are.
Exactly. Yep. And the league and just outlets are taking advantage of covering those moments. So I mean, but when I think back then, I think of Deion Sanders. That's probably one of the people I think of that
always.
He kind of paved the way as well in expression.
I was gonna say low key. Deion started it. He started a lot, but he low key started like how clean he. Remember didn't he have the saying, "Look good, feel good,
get paid"? Look good, feel good, play good, get paid. Yep.
Yeah, all the things. Like he was always clean. Now it may not have been what we wanted to wear, but he put some time into it and still played. He was the first person to me that was mainstream that allowed you to be like, I can still look good and ball out. Like there's the two are not mutually exclusive. They can go together, and I love that about him. He was one of the very first. I don't think there was anybody else after that. I used to your point, think these athletes have no style.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we're talking about guys that's paved the way, obviously Deion, but I think if we look more into in the past couple of decade or so, Odell. I think Odell is the one. Sure. I think Odell is the one that really paved the way for like that cultural icon moment of football players after Deion.
Why? How?
Because I think Odell was one of the ones that's really hanging with endless celebrities, going to the Met Gala. Like he's one of the first guys that's really.
He was very much a part of the fashion world.
Yeah, not even fashion, just culture in general.
Yeah.
Like I think that.
What do you mean by that? The difference between two?
So I think the fashion world, obviously, I think obviously there's things that everybody pays attention to. A few things in life, right? Music, food, fashion, entertainment, those things. He was in all those worlds. So we're talking about hanging with A-list celebrities. We're talking about being at some of the biggest sporting events outside of football. We're talking about being at some of the award shows or, fashion moments. I think he was one of the ones that you see him everywhere. Hanging out with Bieber, hanging out with LeBron, or hanging out with Drake.
He just fit it. Everything about him was like, that makes sense. Yeah, it didn't feel off. He was, to me, also one of the very first male athletes that was okay with being Metro. Like it wasn't a thing that and then people might have questioned his, being silly and questioned his sexuality, but he was very Metro. He was like, I'm doing this. This looks good on me. To me, in terms of because when you live in those worlds, you have to be okay with experimenting and trying different looks and different things. And that felt very authentic to me for him.
I think fashion is, if you really want to establish yourself in the fashion world, I think risk taking is a part of it. Yeah. And I think it's the thing about that is there's a lot of people that like their appearance and how they dress, and people are going to say whatever they want about it. And if that's what's stopping you, maybe fashion might not be the place for you. But I think being true to yourself and wearing what you like to wear, I think that's what if you stay true to that, like,
you're giving me a lesson. I'm about to go home and put on all the things I like.
Now, what I do, that doesn't mean I'll wear it. The stuff that I'll wear is I'm comfortable to me and what I like.
Sure.
I'm not the type that might step out the box a little, but there needs to be people that do that, and I think
you have to see it first, though. Like some people don't have, like to your point about Odell, he put on his man purse, and we're like, look at this Merce, okay, and then it's a thing. Like everybody's wearing their Merce. We good. It's not crazy. I'm out here. I got my Merce. I need it, and you just like, oh, okay, I saw, or I can think of, and although you do NFL, I think of the NBA. My equivalent. My Tom Brady equivalent, and it's so easy and generic, but this is recent for him, is LeBron. Yeah, LeBron stays clean. And he doesn't get enough credit for it.
Yeah.
He'll come in with some suits and you're like, wait, hold on, who makes that? Like he just silhouettes, to your point with Tyrod, his fits, tailored, watches, everything, whether it's high fashion, whether it's casual, whatever he wants to do it. And he lives, and he could really live in those worlds if he wanted to.
Right.
He doesn't though, and not on the outside looking in, but he is, to me, he and Chris Paul, locked. When we come back, we show a little love to our NBA players, and Moses talks about award season. Not necessarily the Oscars or Golden Globes, but how Blitz Fits awards those with the best fits in the NFL. It's truly a thing, family. Back in a moment. What professional athlete, if you will, changed the game for fashion? What professional athlete really made his or her mark with their style?
LeBron's definitely starting to a little bit more too. Like I think he's an LV ambassador now. So yeah, one thing I really can appreciate with guys is whether they're dressed up or dressed down in sweats or in a suit, like they can make it look good. I think LeBron
does that.
Yeah, he's definitely, especially I think it's his more mature years that he's really been stepping.
Yeah, remember he bought everybody the suits? They were in the playoffs. He was like, we wearing suits. And it just was clean. And they were all nice and put together. And I was like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I like that look. I think of when everyone does the comparisons, there has not, to me, like I love me some Jordan. God bless. And again, Jordan, we understand you have restrictions. We understand you could only wear what you could wear. But his dad jeans are still in rotation. And I'm all like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like just that's it. That's what I do.
Yeah.
That's my look.
Yep.
Sticking with my jeans up really high, and you're just like, wow. And I remember meeting Jordan before I was even in sports. I remember being in Atlanta, and I was at a club, and it was a bunch of people there, and he had on a long sleeve red shirt, like just a long sleeve red shirt. It could have been fancy, who knows? It was just a long sleeve red shirt. I'm like, in what circumstance are we wearing just a long sleeve? You don't got to say it. I'm going to say it. I was like, Jordan, I love you. And his jeans was like up to the, I was like, there has to be something that fits you.
Right.
And I understand that was the era of the big suits, like him and Magic and they big suits and they big boxy suits and they thought they was doing it. And Chuck, I still feel like, and Shaq they still won't let that go. That's just a part of who they are.
Some of that's coming back actually too.
But but who looks good in it? I like not the old school suits from '90s. You're gonna do a new version of it.
Yeah, we're talking baggy suits. Travis Kelce.
Okay.
Travis Kelce does that really
good.
well.
Yeah, he looks good.
The baggy suit game.
Yeah.
Yep. And Stephon. Stephon did a couple looks like that too.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I think style is really hard because, like you said, I love me some Kobe. Kobe was clean.
Yeah.
But we weren't like, damn, did you see?
Right. We didn't look at him for fashion
we weren't
per se.
No, he was not. He
had his moments.
Yeah, he had his moments, so he looked good. But it's hard to be the face of an entire league and then also have that. And I think LeBron just started to do that recently because he wasn't always that way.
Yeah, I think of also in the basketball world, Allen Iverson.
Allen, he's the culture. He changed the game for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
But it wasn't even so much about dressing up. It was the idea. Allen Iverson, I think, told us that we could be who we wanted to be. And then that's when they started dressing any kind of way they want. I think he changed it for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's true.
Everybody. He was culture. Yeah. And now when you wear the straight backs, it's fashionable.
Yeah, it's back in.
It's like it's fashionable. It's not like, oh, you a thug. When he was doing it, there's like, look at the tattoos. He's so thuggish. Now it's art. It's art on my arm.
Right.
I have my hair is art. Everything about what we see these players do today is art. And if you want to say who started, I would think Allen Iverson really set it off for all athletes,
that's
not
true.
just within the NBA, but just NFL. It was just really special.
Yeah. I'd agree. I would agree. I think he had his stamp moment on just like the cultural fashion side of sports.
Who's your favorite NBA player in terms of dressing?
My favorite NBA player?
In terms of style.
In style? That's a hard one. I'll probably say Devin Booker.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm a simple guy. Like he's a simple guy too. I think he was doing like he did like a little Fits from the Street. They're another fashion page, and they did a little cover on him on what he's wearing to the game. He just had a regular baggy jeans, gilding a hoodie, and still made it look fly. That's my type of dressing. Like I like the basics, make it look clean, make it look fly, but you're not going to get too much, but you're going to get enough.
But you also have that French in you where you speak French, and so that's very clean and minimalistic.
Yeah,
so I think that maybe that's what I just made up right now in my head. Maybe perhaps.
I let other things speak for me, you know what I'm saying? Even other languages. Yeah, so.
I'm curious, what's it, obviously I know, I mean, I could assume, how'd you get the title of Blitz Fits? Where'd it come from?
Man, that's funny because I was sitting there, actually a couple of friends of mine that were at the P at the time that have left now. I was just sitting there like, man, I want to start this. I don't know what to call it. I was thinking about, Gridiron Fits or like just other football names that resonate, like terminology in football. And then one day I was actually at at the time, she was my girlfriend. We were at her apartment. She's my wife now, just saying
shout out to the wife.
Yeah, shout out to Ugo. But I was sitting there, I'm like, Blitz Fits. I think that's it right there. I just think about all out blitz.
Well, I thought too. Yeah, that's what I see. But
football.
I was thinking because you were a D lineman. I was like, was he thinking all out blitz?
Too,
and he was just like, okay,
exactly. Okay. Yeah, that was my main thing is to go get the quarterback. So,
but it still makes sense though because you just wanted to take over.
Exactly. All out blitz. So Blitz Fits, and once I said that, I was like, oh yeah, this sticks. So, made it, started everything, IG, website, everything, and then the rest is history. Yeah.
Do you ever feel like you're in competition? Because I know that this is like a lot of influencers, people, and I don't, would you identify yourself as an influencer?
Nah, I wouldn't, not myself. I wouldn't call myself an influencer. I like to think of myself as more of like a storyteller in a sense.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I think I don't necessarily, I'm more of a behind the scenes type of guy. Like this is probably, I know I got to start doing this more. That's what I've been told. But like,
who told you that?
Just some consultants or stuff. But I like to really be behind the scenes and, have people tell their story, use the platform to really share who they are and tell those stories, right? So I wouldn't consider myself an influencer. Maybe the page itself is influencing. So, yeah.
But it's interesting because it is the way in which we live today. Like we expect people to ask what you wear, what are you doing? There are pages you go to look for this information, to see who's wearing what, who looks up. It's an honor.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, did you see me on Blitz? No, they got me. They got me.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's really truly something that people take pride in.
Yeah, what I really love the most is the players that really like, love it and take pride in being featured on the page because, that's really who I had in mind when I made the page, right? The players that are in the league that want a place to show themselves in that light. Obviously, the people that have come along and you looked at it for inspiration, like that means a lot to me too. But being able to talk to a player, I think one time I met a player and he didn't know it was me. And then the moment I told him, he just went crazy. Like he was like, what? Like he just was hype.
How'd that make you feel?
It just made me feel like, oh wow, this is really a thing. Like I guess we're really doing something.
Good for you.
So it just means a lot to be able to see like, the page is really influencing people to even explore that side of things. Like guys are trying to get featured and trying to be on the page in the season.
Well, that goes back to my whole original point of dressing. It's not just that simple.
Yeah.
I'm not just trying to be clean. I'm saying something. I'm identifying myself. Some people aren't articulate. Some people express themselves creatively with what they wear or what they create. And a creation is what you wear. Or what, like in my mind, I think I'm going to do this and I'm going to be. Now, I don't know if you was one of these little kids when you got dressed or when you would try on new clothes, you'd be in the mirror and you just start dancing. Like, this cute.
Hey,
I'm going to be like this or I'm going to kill him. I'm going to be like, yeah. And then you don't do that?
I mean, I might have moments like that.
I do that all the time. Yeah, like if I was going to go shop today, I try an outfit and I'd be like, oh, kill him. The boys gonna like this. You don't do that?
I mean, I'm not that exact move, but I'd be like, I might
be
like,
this. You don't do this?
Nah. You ask my wife, she might tell you something different, but I can look at something and be like, okay, yeah, this is it right here. Yep.
I'm a killer. If I was single, it'd be crazy. I'd have to beat him off me. Crazy. Yeah. This is why I laugh because I, like, for instance, I think of certain players like a DeMar DeRozan. He sweats.
Yeah.
I'm sweats. I'm athleisure.
Yeah.
If I put on pants, it's a big deal. Yep. You know, if I'm going outside with pants on, it's a big deal. He's just comfortable. That's but it's still clean.
Yeah.
It's still his style. It is who he is. And then I look at other players and I wonder how important it is to them to do that because for instance, it is their creative expression. That once a week, whether it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes, that once a week. How do you get all of the images? So if I go on your page, I'm like, do you hire a freelancer? I know you can't be everywhere at all times.
Yeah. No, so it's come from different avenues. So now we've started working with teams where, teams will collaborate with us on their game day entrances.
That's so dope.
Yeah, we know a lot of photographers that we work with around, the country that, they shoot for players. A lot of players have their own personal photographers that they send things over to us. Players are DMing us,
I was going to say, I know players be like, so did you see this?
Yeah,
did you check this? Don't forget the socks.
You'll be surprised. Players they'll be DMing us the day of the game about what they wore. And then we do have, we started this Blitzfits tour, which we're basically working with teams to cover their game day fits, all in crowning the best dressed team of the year. So that's actually coming out within the next couple of weeks.
Tell me more about that.
So we something new that we started where, it's a tour essentially, where we're hitting different teams. This year we hit about 9 teams during the regular season. Basically what we'll do is we'll bring our team there, cover the guys arriving at the game, make a sizzle reel with that, and collaborate with the teams and posting that. And then what we do at the end of the season, which is, now is we take a look at just all the teams, and we have a best dressed team that's a part of our Blitzfits Awards, which is crowning the best dressed guys of that year.
So have you done that? When do we do that? When do we crown?
So it's at the end of this month.
Who's in the lead? How do you make that decision?
That's a good question. Are you
just at home figuring it out by yourself? Or are we taking it to the people?
Yes, we do take it to the people. So there is, fan or voters there too. We do have a couple consultants that we talk to, our little panel that we talk to about who's gonna make one of the teams this year. So it's a mixture. It's not all on me now. Before it might have been.
Why are you keeping it so secretive? You work for the FBI? He's like, so I can't tell you.
You'll be surprised how. I mean, see, this is the thing. Players are competitive, no matter what it is. No matter what it is. So the moment that they find out they've been on a team, so we do all fits, first team, second team, third team, similar how they'll do all pro first.
Sure.
So guys will make the third team and they'll be
follow you?
They'll be like, man, don't ever post me again. And if you look at it, the third team is still the top 25 in the league of best dressed.
Wild. So, don't ever post me again. You're like, I can post you if I want to, sir.
Me and that player reconcile. We good now.
Shut up. He was really mad at you?
Nah, I want to say.
What's the craziest story? You ain't got to talk about him per se, but what's the craziest story? So you put him on third team and he was like, you can't post me no more. He took it that serious.
Yeah, he took it that serious. And then that was in our DMs. And then later on, I saw him in person. He didn't know who I was at the time. I introduced myself. I was like, yo, hey, man, we good? I know you 13. He's like, man, we good, man. We good. So he didn't take it that serious, but he was like, yeah, y'all playing me a little bit.
I feel the way. I understand that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's tough, man. You have so many guys that dress well, and there's only so many, spots, in my opinion. If you make any of the teams, I think that's, amazing.
I appreciate your neutrality. You're very neutral. You're very it's very hard. It's difficult. I can understand, and I understand. But are we good? Because third team is at least top 20.
Hey.
I appreciate that. As opposed to me, I'm like, oh, shut up. What's wrong with you? You on here? You look good. What's the problem? You're talking about clothes, man. We're talking about practice.
Right. Practice.
We're talking about practice.
Not the game.
We're talking about the game.
But that's the game. About practice. That's the game for a lot.
By the way,
one of the
that's the response. And you can take that when someone come at you crazy. Say, sir, we talking about practice. Just not the game.
Yeah,
Did y'all get that W today?
I like that.
We're talking about practice.
Right.
Although for them, that is the game. I agree.
That's an aspect of the game.
It's an aspect of the game.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna crown. You won't tell me who it is. Do you have that? Do you have that in place right now?
It's not in place right now.
Are we ready to break some news?
No, not yet. So the way it works is obviously there's always an MVP. There's always a Rookie of the Year that we crown, and then we have all fits first team, second team, and third team. We also have an award for best dressed big men, so O-line, D-line.
Okay. Do you have an award for worst dress?
Nah.
You don't do that. We say above board. Okay.
Yeah, we have a most improved. So that's somebody that's
who's most improved. Who's been most improved in the past?
Last year was another sleeper, Jordan Fuller.
Okay.
He's with the Panthers this year. I think he really invested into those moments as well. And the thing that most improved is we're not ever saying this guy was trash last year, but nah, there's some guys that they didn't really think about it that much, but this year they're like, I'm gonna put the effort into this.
Okay.
And we notice it. So I think that's one of the ways that
is there a team of people, or you make all these decisions unilaterally?
Nah, it's a team.
How big is the team?
Even if it was just me, I'll say it's a team. I'm not trying to get that heat. But we do have a team.
There's about 20 people working on this. Meanwhile,
we have a team.
Moses is like at night, just me.
We got a team for sure. We definitely got a team.
Okay, good for you.
Yeah, it would drive me crazy if it was just me. Even the day before we release it, we're like switching slots and changing guys
this
out.
is there's contemplation, there's thought, there's
100%.
Effort put into this. You're not just putting this together, so people should really be honored.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys are honored. Like a lot of guys, are sharing it. Teams are sharing it. So it does mean a lot to them, and that's humbling to me just to know that people appreciate being on any of these teams.
And it's all positive. You don't have somebody, do you have, because there are a couple of outfits that I can think of and I'd be like, I can't believe he did that. There's just some over the years, you're like, oh, like when you think about when people get drafted.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a special draft day edition? Like and by we, I mean the fans love when someone is wearing something so ridiculous and I'll never wear it again.
Mm-hmm.
Like we always, I think of Jalen Rose. I love him. He's a friend of mine. But we will never not pull out his draft day outfit because it was trash.
Yeah.
And so he just laughs. He was like, no, but I'm from the D and I was killing it, Cari. You're wrong. I was the best. Do you do draft day outfits where you're just like, this is...
Yeah, definitely.
Then nothing awful though. You don't say anything bad. It's all positive.
Nah, I think because like I said before, it's subjective. Somebody might not like it, but somebody else might like it. Somebody might try that. Somebody might not. So I don't think we'll ever post something to bash a guy. That's just not
how you go about it.
Yeah, that's just not me as a person.
The comments
in general.
will. I love that about it.
Yeah, the comments
will do it. Leave it to the comments.
Leave it to the comments. But if we're posting it, we're not posting it
to talk bad about somebody.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
So if you put me third team, I'm gonna have a real problem, for real. Like if you do it, like, cause I could go down a list and it ain't that many that dress nice. So I'm gonna go be mad if you put me third team, Moses. I'm coming to find you. What's his address? Oh, do we have his home address? And we'll find it.
I might have put a fake one in there.
Drop your location.
But you dress well too. Ever since I've been watching you for years, and I think that
there was. I'm not saying that I'm the best dressed, but I do believe before, like there was a time where women had to wear baggy suits in sports. They couldn't feel like they were women, and they wanted you to dress like a dude. And then I was like, that just makes no sense.
Yeah,
that don't make sense. I mean, I don't think you should be out here. I feel like I started, especially at ESPN. You can ask anybody. They was dressed like they had on baggy suits. They were like, her skirts are too short. I was like, mind your business. I'm grown. Mind your business. Yeah. Or nobody was wearing heels. You too tall. You don't need to wear heels. I was like, mind your business. Yeah, I did not care because, and not that was what I went in to do,
right.
but that was just what made me comfortable.
Exactly.
That was my creative expression to say who I was.
Yeah, you were stepping. And that's the same mindset you have there is what a lot of guys are taking into that tunnel moment. Like, this is who I am. This is how I want to express myself. And I don't really care what people say, I got
a few questions before I let you go. We'll do some rapid fire. How important is a tunnel moment for an athlete on a scale of 1 to 10?
I think it's very important. I think some guys, obviously, the guys that are faces of the league, whatever they wear is going to get featured no matter what. But I think for the guys that might be one of their few moments throughout the league and they're capitalizing off of that, they start to see that they get more of those moments, throughout the season, throughout the year, more outlets start to pick them up. So I think it's very important.
And it helps their brand.
Yeah, exactly.
Make them some money. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, there's guys that we started featuring on our page that wouldn't be like the A-list guys or B-list guys, but because they had that consistency with their fits, more and more people started to feature them, as top fits.
What's the universal label / brand that looks good for the most part on the players? There's is everybody, I'm making up something.
Yeah.
Does everyone deal with a certain stylist or a certain tailor, or does everyone love to wear a Givenchy? I don't know. Is there something universally that you've seen over and over again on different players that looks good on them? I
think this year, well, if we're just talking about pieces that a lot of guys are wearing, I think the jorts, like the denim studded jorts, jean shorts, I think guys was wearing, especially earlier in the season, guys were wearing that for sure. Asics was taking over.
Asics and jorts.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That was taking over a lot. More of that streetwear style. I'll say those were some of the pieces that were really like stand out. But obviously, you have the LVs, guys pulling up in the LVs, the beanies that they drop. A lot of guys are wearing those. So there's a lot of different pieces. You'll start to see like it's because there's so many guys in the league. You'll end up wearing something one day and not even realize that a player on another team across the country wore that same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just because those are some of the pieces. Where in the NBA, you have less guys. So the chances of you guys wearing the same thing, especially if it's a new release or something that just dropped, is slimmer.
Yeah. So, but the overall consensus is this season it was Jorts and Asics.
Yeah, I would say Asics more was last season and spilled into this season a little bit more. I think, what are those boots? They were like these specific boots that guys are wearing this year. I don't know if it was Balenciaga or Louis or one of those boots. There's like these big boots that they have brown and black. I got to find the name of it, but that was another one that guys were really wearing a lot of. Raspberry Hills is a brand that guys are wearing. It's more of a sweats hoodie and sweats type of thing.
I think that that's interesting because I know that there are popular things that they all wear, and I wouldn't know. That's why I'm asking you. You're the expert.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call myself an expert because even some things I'm looking like
you're like I don't know what that is.
I don't know what brand it is, but it looks good. It looks good.
It looks nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Then my other question for you is we've named a lot of players in terms of who is your favorite. You gave us your favorite for Tyrod. You gave us your favorite was Devin Booker in the NBA. It's so interesting because in other leagues, I would even say like in hockey, I don't think that this would be a thing. And that's why I know it's cultural. That's why I know it has something to do with who we are as a people. Because in hockey, I look. I don't think that they like what we got today. Yeah, it might be one or two, but it's not a thing.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
The way that it is for us. So I wonder, who would you say, what athlete, NBA or NFL, and it could be two, really transitioned the idea, or brought to the mainstream, if you will, the idea that you can do both, that you can look good on the field and you can play well as well.
Stephon Diggs. I think that's...
You think he set it off for everybody?
Well, you talking about historically?
Historically.
Oh, I mean, if we're talking historically, we named a couple of them, Deion Sanders, Allen Iverson. If we're looking even way back, who was it that wore the furry coat? Was it Joe Namath or...
Joe Namath wore a fur coat, but so did Wilt Chamberlain. They all had the fur back in the day.
Yep.
Magic had a fur. He was clean.
Yeah, so I mean, it really depends on what area you're thinking about.
I'm thinking about... I can't say that even though we can name those guys, I think the fur coat, yes. I think that was a trend. I think athletes have always lived on that line, but I'm thinking who really affected it, and everyone was like, look at what he did. I can do the same. I think Deion and Allen, that's a great historically. I think those two are great.
Those are definitely because they challenge the status quo,
correct,
in fashion and outside of it. It's just whatever they did. Yep.
It's how when you do one thing, it's how you do
and
everything.
He's still doing it.
That's what Tyrod told us earlier. So
exactly.
I see. And then will you do this for women? Do you think? Have you ever thought Blitz her fits? I don't know. Have you ever thought of doing something for women? Because we are having our moment in sports.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's more than a moment. It's like it's here to stay.
Definitely. Nah, I've definitely had a lot of pitches to me about that, and a lot of thought has gone into it. You know, we are the growth of girls flag football is big. So
they got it in the Olympics.
We never know what that's going to come down to. But I'm definitely open to that and seeing what we could do in that space as it continues to evolve. But I'll never say.
Does it have to be flag football? Could it be
regular football?
Could it be sports in general?
I mean, yeah, but I also want to
keep the same theme.
I will say, like when it comes to fashion outlets for sports, I think there have been, so there's like other ones like League Fits is the one for basketball, and you have now one overseas, Footballer Fits for soccer football. So I think every respective sport has been growing, but I think, for me, it's like, how can we bring it in, whether it be, I've had the pictures of, the stylists that are women that are styling a lot of these guys, like finding ways to highlight them, which there are a lot that are killing it. So there's definitely ways that we want to continue to see how we can highlight, more of the women on our platform. So
I love it.
I might have to talk to you about that.
Yeah. And in that way, that encourages them to even step up their game a bit. Because it's hard. It's hard to be, as you talked about being a big person, it's hard to be a tall woman, size 13 shoe. And you got to be, like, you're, the level of trauma you deal with growing up. My friend, she is 6'3". She has been wearing a size 12 since she was in the 8th grade. Can you imagine?
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, you can't. See how you are? You see how you treating her already?
I had my own. I had my own issues. So I grew up wearing husky pants. You know, I had to find ways to make it work. So I can relate, but not like the height type of thing. I'm relatively tall, but
I'm tall. I'm a normal tall. I'm 5'10". I said normal tall, and I wear heels. I embrace my height. But when I was in 6th grade, Philip King used to talk shit about how tall I was and how big my feet were. Imagine fighting over that as a woman. So now we need to highlight these extra tall women who are doing their best, running around here with size 14 shoes. Right. Got to make them feel normal.
And I think
let's normalize size 14 shoes for women.
And I think League Fits.
Y'all wrong. Everybody in here laughing. My people ain't right.
Yeah, I will say League Fits and those guys over there. Ian is one of my guys that runs League Fits. They're doing a great job of highlighting just the WNBA and what they did in that space. So
they're working on it. They're getting there. Ladies, here we come once again. They forgot about us, but I'm still bringing this back. Let's normalize size 14 for women. Let's not here. He said he couldn't imagine. I can. So let's normalize.
I can relate. I can imagine though. You know, but.
Moses, we are teasing you so hard right now. Thank you so much for coming on Naked.